Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Tuesday night again at Frankston Community Connect, live, coming straight to you on Facebook. That sounded professional, didn't it? I don't really have a rant tonight, but what I'm going to say is, you know that I'm actually going to interview all the candidates for Frankston City Council, right? But at the moment, we're at a slight little bit of dilemma, right? So the problem is we don't know whether we're going to postpone these local councils or not, or these local elections or not yet. So over the next week or so, I'm trying to chase it down. I've been asking around everywhere. Like, as you know, you ring government departments and they can't give you an answer, which is typical. But when I know what's going on, I will let you know. And we've decided, because Frankston Community Connect Tuesday nights, from what everyone keeps saying to me, it's become very important and people look forward to it. Oh, hold on. Good evening, Joshy. How are you, Tangles? Righto. And anyway, people, we're going to probably do these interviews on a Wednesday night over the months of September or August, September, starting at the end of August through September, and try to push as many of them in as we possibly can. Righto. Oh, good evening, Steve. Here's one of the new people that actually wants to come on and be interviewed, Stephen McDonald, who's running for the South Ward. Thank you for joining us tonight. I hope you enjoy our show. Anyway, we've got a couple of very interesting guys on tonight. The first one is Michael Simmons. I get it right. I actually wrote it wrong this morning. Oh, sorry, doesn't matter. He knows who he is, and I know who he is. We actually are on Zoom today with Peter Murphy as well, having a bit of a chat about things and different community groups that are actually in our area. And he's from Halt, and very interesting group. Then I've got a friend of mine. I think we can call each other friends. Paul Carter, known him for a number of years. We first ever met going back many years ago. He was in one club and I was at another. So anyway, I'm going to get straight into it, and I'm going to bring up Michael. Got a counting down. 1, 2, 3. Good evening, Michael. How are you?
Good evening, Glenn. Thank you very much for having me on here.
That's fine. I got your name right, didn't I?
You did. There was no Mark Summers. It was Mike Simmons. So it was beautiful.
Hello, Hannah. How are you?
Look, I'm good. I'm good.
I was talking to one of our guests. I'm sorry. She was saying hello. Anyway,
yes, I do work for Halt, Hope Assistance Local Tradies, federally funded, and it's been going for about 6 years. Jeremy up in Castlemaine started it. Was sick of going to people's tradies suicide funerals, and let's not hide that. Anxiety, depression can lead to suicide, and so he was fed up with hearing who's next rather than what can we do about it. So Holt was born, and he spent 6 years running around talking about men's mental health and promoting where to get help. Last November, we got some funding for the next 4 years down here on the Mornington Peninsula, and I applied for the job, and boom, got it. I'm an ex-TAFE teacher. I don't know whether you're ever an ex-TAFE teacher, but I was down at Rosebud TAFE and Frankston for 5 years, and then got into this Halt. So we go out and talk to tradies from all walks of life, in all places, all sizes. So we can be doing a brekkie, the Halt brekkie. I see you just post that up. We're famous for our bacon and egg rolls, and we even do smokos with the sausage and bread. And I've done a couple of mechanics where they've put on a pizza and a beer at the end of the day for a chat. So it doesn't matter how many people. I've spoken to 3 around a coffee table. I think that's the smallest, where we had a cup of coffee and a donut. And a couple of the online events now we've had with Metro Trains, 120 people online. From Blue Scope Steel, Mazda car yards, you name it, we'll go and talk. I say anyone in the high vis vest gets spoken to. And through this COVID period, we're looking at apprentices, which are very, very high up on our list, as they're the second highest group that take their lives, unfortunately. And we've been talking to school kids. So at the moment, if you've got nothing to do tomorrow night at 6 p.m. and you have got a year 11 or year 10, 11, 12 kid or an apprentice, we're running a online chat with all the support services, Headspace, Reach Out, Mornington Peninsula Shire, and psychologists. So that you can find that on the web page. But we're really about, we blokes, we are massively secure in how masculine we are and how we are invincible. We don't shy down from anything. I call bullshit on that, because being vulnerable and talking about how you're feeling when, let's be honest, Glenn, on the news is not that great at the moment.
No,
With all the with this COVID, with isolation, with people losing their jobs, with the lack of control over our lives. We don't know when it's going to finish. When's the funding going to finish? When's the bank going to want some more money from a mortgage? If we don't talk about it, it's not a good thing. So we really promote talking to your mates and how to talk to your mates. We really promote going to see a doctor. What's the worst that can happen if you go and see a doctor with mental health issues? You're going to get, mate, you're eating, drinking, and doing nothing. Get up and start moving. Or he's going to say, you do have some issues and let's start a path. And it might be talking to a psychologist. It might take in some medicine. It could be a multitude of all of those. So changing your life a little bit and talking to the resources that are out there. So we're really passionate about promoting this message from young ones to old ones. It doesn't discriminate. We are gender neutral, although it says men's mental health charity. We've certainly changed that down here on the peninsula. There are lady tradies. And when I've done some work at TAFEs, we've spoken to all trades, from hairdressers, chefs, landscape gardeners, the sparkies, the builders, and unfortunately, with the stats that are out there, every day 8 people take their life, and 2 of them are female and 6 of them are males. Now, that's the figures that Lifeline put out. At the moment with COVID, I wouldn't know. All I know is that phone numbers last May to Beyond Blue were 1,100 ballpark. This May, 5,800.
right, yeah.
So either the message is getting across, calling for support, which is brilliant, but also there'll be a lot more people struggling and suffering with their lives.
Look, mate, there's plenty out there struggling at the moment. I'd say, even just through this little group that we've got here, this live show, Frankston Community Connect.
Yep.
Last week I know of 3 attempted suicides. Of course, domestic violence. I've had 4 women over the last week or so ringing up because, as you would find, like typical tradies, young, especially if you're dealing with a lot of young people, right? What's going on at the moment, especially with the COVID, the alcohol side of it's actually turning. They're actually turning to drinking and substance abuse.
Yeah.
Right? Because unfortunately, when it comes to trading and apprentices, most of those are young people.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And via peer pressure before all this, right? The drugs were there, and the smoking the dope and dropping a pill and drinking and everything like that was part of it. But now, because of what's happening to them in their lives, being stood down in their jobs and everything like that, it's actually something that they're actually turning to.
Yeah.
So we need to promote people like you to a great extent, so they know that there's people out there listening. And
absolutely. We're running a session on the 2nd of September. We've got 4 drug and alcohol counsellors online. So we're running an event there. Again, alcohol consumption is way up. We've got, where we used to have a beer, now we've got nothing to do. You know, for some, when they're home, there's not a lot to do. Loneliness, isolation, lack of control, financial issues, relationship issues. These are all really big triggers that can cause people to build up that anxiety. Untreated, depression, just want to stay at home, don't want to go out, don't want to socialize anymore, spend way too much time listening to their head.
Yep.
Whereas, you know, before going to work, and if you played a sport, you trained twice a week or once a week, you had the game on the weekend, you hung out with your footy mates, soccer mates, cricket mates, basketball mates, whatever it was, that was your community. And with all these sports cancelled, there's a lot of guys that, you know, go to work and go home.
Yeah.
They don't go for a run. They don't keep themselves fit. They needed the whole team around them to keep them going, you know, to keep them motivated. So it's a massive issue. And if we don't promote who to go and talk to, then that's, you know, that's a struggle. But let's be honest. It's okay to be vulnerable. We love the manlyhood. We love the fact that, you know, you can be a panel beater and you go, or a brickie, but a little bit of vulnerable, a little bit of tears, a little bit of sadness. Life is not Instagram perfect. It's not TikTok glamorous. It is what it is. You don't have to be happy every day because that's not livable.
No, I agree with you. It's like this morning in the promo, I was unmotivated this morning. Right?
Yeah. No, you're honest to me. You said straight away, I'm not in this.
Like even tonight, I wasn't 100% motivated. You know, sometimes you think, oh, I really don't want to do this tonight, but that's because of where we are at this present time. That's how vulnerable we are. There's, you know, like there's people suffering out there every second. You know, like, right. Oh. So a strong person like me, right, and then people know that I'm, you know, like I'm a little bit of, mate, I'm a grumpy old man and I'm hard and and everything like that. But the thing about it is we can all get down. Right? So the people that do not have life experiences, and look, you've got to be honest, these are young people they don't really have life experience.
No, they don't. They don't.
Right? The older ones do.
Yep.
But they're vulnerable at the moment. But these young ones need something out there that's within the schools with everything like that. And the gentleman I'm going to have coming on soon, Paul, which I will bring him up and let Paul have a bit of a talk about what he does. And then I think the three of us could actually have a talk, righto? Talk about what you're doing, righto? Like I said, Paul I've known for a lot of years, and I'm not going to take away his glory because he's better at telling about what he does and everything like that himself.
I just want to address Stephen's question there about, you know, what we should be doing. The scary thing is not only do we have 8 people suiciding daily, there are 30 for every 30 people for every one that succeeds. Try. So that's where the massive numbers are. And I think it's really, we're talking about community, and the community meeting that we were in today with Peter Murphy was fantastic. That there are so many grassroots charities and grassroots that cover every aspect of life in a supporting role. And I really think this is where, you know, I put it down to, let's say, your tomatoes, right? Previously, we got tomatoes that were a bit funny shaped. They actually tasted like a tomato. They had the stem on them. They looked gorgeous. They tasted delicious. Then everybody went, we got to have a ton of tomatoes. So they mass produced them. So they all look perfect, but none of them tasted like a bloody tomato. And then they went, you know what would be really cool? Organic tomatoes. We grow them like we used to grow them, but we charge twice the price. And now if you want to have a tomato that tastes like a tomato, you've got to go and pay the expensive tomato. But this is the same with the community. Yeah, we used to talk to our neighbours. Yeah, we knew everyone in the street. You went to the village, everybody knew everyone. The sporting clubs, every dad knew every kid. Any kid put his, you know, gave a bit of this, another dad would be all right to, boy, behave yourself. And then the mobile phone came around, yeah? So now we're so connected that we don't actually have to talk to anybody anymore. And guess what's coming back in? Let's get communities back.
Yeah, but I've been saying that for years.
And I just think, if we start looking after each other at the grassroots level, this is how we will get through COVID, stage 4, stage 3, and out the other side, and be there to help people with their mental health. That's
look, you're singing out of the same hymn book, mate. And that's what Frankston Community Connect's about, is to actually join all us community groups together, right? It's like like my organisation, but like I said, in many things that I've done, I've been believe it or not, I was in the corporate scene once, right? Not everyone's got the same gift, right? Not everyone can do the same thing as the next person, but where somewhere you're good at one thing, or you could be good at a couple of things, but there's people out there that are good at that. People are good at that. But if you join all those together, right?
spot on.
You've got one mighty army, one mighty force, right, or one mighty community. And like I said, that's what Frankston Community Connect was all set up about, is to do these sort of things, is to bring this sort of thing together as one community, one voice working together for the betterment of the community, right, the people around it.
I'm loving it.
Yeah. Right, listen, what I might do, because I think it's going to be a great conversation, right? The three of us all together, but you and Paul talking, because Paul's a very, believe it or not, knowledgeable. He's got more brains than I have anyhow. So anyway, what I'm going to do is put you down for a second, Michael. Is that okay?
Yep, I'm fine with it. I just popped something in the chat. If you could whack that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, mate.
Not a problem. Anyway, I'm going to bring Paul Carter up. He's a mate of mine. We've known each other for quite a while. And Paul's got an interesting story. Good evening, Paul.
Hello there, Glenn. How you going, mate?
Not bad. Mate, Paul's a lot more professional than I am.
I wouldn't call it professional. I'll tell you what I am better, and that's I'm better looking. And my beard certainly doesn't have as much grey as you've got going there, mate. What, are you applying for a job as Santa Claus down at Bayside Shopping Centre this year?
No, mate, I haven't got the big fat gut like you.
Well, fair point.
But anyway, I've known Paul for a long time. I think we first ever met you. I was at one nightclub and you were at another, wasn't it?
I think yeah. I was running one company and you were in another club with another one, and we sort of ran into each other that night. Yeah, it was a while ago.
That's a long time ago. And then we met through fishing again.
We did. Fishing's big, massive part of my life. Probably takes up 80% of my life nowadays. But yeah, fishing's been a good thing to bring a lot of people like yourself and I back together, mate.
It has. But I remember that time we went and done a talk. Oh, jeez, what was the name of that group again?
So that was a group called Kane's Crusade, and it was an organisation started by Fawn Brady, and this is going to kill me. I can't remember the other lady's name, but Fawn's younger brother was one of those young fellas who had some severe depressive illness, however, didn't act on it. And none of his family knew, none of his mates knew, no one knew. And then one day, sadly, he took his life, and Fawn and the other lady, oh, God, I can't believe I've forgotten her name. I was only looking at her the other day. They set up a foundation called Kane's Crusade. I believe now it's called Crusade Alive or Alive Crusade. They're still going, which is good. But yeah, we spoke there that night. There was a lot of people there that didn't really understand what a depressive illness was or how it affects different people. And I mean, you got up and you told your story, and you had a pretty shit house life when you started. Let's face it, it wasn't all roses and Cadbury chocolate. Whereas my situation was totally flip side. So a lot of people sort of had this idea that, if you had a bad upbringing or you had some issues in life, then you're going to suffer from depression. Well, I had an awesome upbringing. I had a good education. I had a cracking family that were pretty close. They were a little bit nutty religious-wise, but other than that, they were a good family. We all held together pretty well. I went through school. I played sports. Everything was going great. I got married to a hot woman, and we're still married today, and everything was fantastic. But I still suffered from that dirty dog depression, and it gets a lot of people. And recognising it is the first and foremost thing. You know, blokes these days know they've got issues. They don't do nothing about it. And it's high tide they started to do something about it.
Yeah, I agree. Right, no, I agree with you, Paul. I was going to say, Paul.
Yes.
When you were going through depression, because it was at a young age, wasn't it, really?
Yeah, I suppose I started realising when I was about 19 or 20. But anyone who knew me in that age period, even up until now, everyone knows I'm one of the happiest blokes you'll ever meet. It was interesting before to hear Mick say that not everyone's happy. Well, the funniest thing is some of the most depressed people you'll ever meet, always happy. I mean, you just got to look at, look at in the acting community. Old mate Mork from Ork, he was one of the happiest people you'd ever see on your TV on your TV screens. You know, and he was one of the biggest sufferers of depression. Not so much the anxiety stuff, but the depression, and it really got to him. And in the end, it took his life. Me. Anyone that looked at me, I go, geez, what a happy bloke. You know, he's always having a laugh. He's always having a joke. What could possibly be wrong in his life? You know, there's a lot of people inside fighting demons that you don't necessarily know about.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right there, Paul. But when did you actually first realise that there was something, not 100% right there?
So I had an issue at work, and as Mick mentioned before, I kept listening to my head, and that's one place I should never listen to. I should listen to my heart, not my head, because the more I listen to my head, all these tiny, insignificant problems that nowadays are sort of a shrug of the shoulder just built and built and built and built. And it wasn't that long ago. It was probably about, how old am I now? Probably about 12 years ago, 13 years ago. And I just realised that was it. There was something up. And before I decided to go to the quack, I jumped in my car. I left work. I drove down to Patterson River boat ramp, and I was ready to drive myself off that ramp and into the river. Now, I got a phone call from, and this is something really important for the tradie folks as well, is most companies that you work for nowadays have a thing called an employment assistance program. And I'd rung that earlier that morning and didn't quite get any assistance. But just as I'm sitting in my car down at Patterson River boat ramp, that phone rang. It was somebody from the employee assistance program who had a chat with me, and I ended up at the doctor's surgery later on that day and never looked back.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah, because I'm just gonna. I'm not like you, mate. I haven't got the press button things like you have on your controls.
I'm going to be closer if you want. How's this? You see up my nose?
No, further away, mate, is better.
All right, we'll go right away.
I can only have one good-looking man on the show, mate. But Paul, you've since that time that you realised the problem was there.
Yep.
Right. You go to the GP.
Yep.
Right. How did you battle and how did you win?
Well, the doctors were pretty good, actually. They put me onto some counsellors and a few other things. And look, there's different treatments for everyone. Not everything works the same. There's no silver bullet. There's no single one remedy that's going to fix everyone. I went through some counselling things and I had some medication, neither of which worked very well for me. But I changed my diet. I got off the piss. I stopped eating McDonald's and pizza every night of the week. And I started to get further involved in fishing and hunting again, where my mind was involved elsewhere. And when that little black dog was biting at my ankles, I knew a way to kick him off, and that was just go for a walk in the bush or grab a rod and go for a walk down a river and chuck some lures around. And there's something about mind numbingness out in the bush or out in the environment that sort of takes away that heavy pressure you get in your head. And from talking to your own head, it's a strange thing. Anyone who's done it before will know how they'll know the impact of having to talk to and answer those questions you've got to keep floating around your head. And that was the two main things. And I found also, when I got home from work, instead of sinking half a dozen Woodstock cans, I'd grab my leash, grab the dog, we'd go for a walk. I could talk to the dog. The dog made better sense, and sometimes I needed some expert advice, and she was the answer to most of those questions. So, it's just part of the problem is motivation, and getting off your ass and doing something is, you know, you're going to be kicking goals rather than points if you can actually get off your ass and have a crack. So recognising it's the first sign and doing something about it's the second part.
Oh, so important. And I know you won't brag about yourself, but mate, one of the greatest things that actually probably helped you, which, you know, because you've come a long way within the fishing circles, right? Your name's well known. You MC at the boat shows and you go to South Australia. You also, mate, I stand to be corrected. You can correct me. There's been times when you've gone over and done a guest speaking job over in Japan.
Yeah,
to nearly
I do it years. We can't do it at the moment, obviously, because these COVID bastards destroying all of us. But yeah, and I'll get over to Japan a fair bit. I've learnt conversational Japanese, and I do some. We do it in English, not in English. So I get as much out in Japanese as I can, and the rest I just do in English, and everyone just hope for the best. But you know, we get some pretty big crowds at those things, and they're pretty good fun. And I suppose being up on a stage in front of, you know, or when we do the boat show, for example, it's a couple hundred people. Or if I do at the fish and tackle store, you know, it's 50 or 60 people. Standing up in front of 50 or 60 people is one thing, and giving a talk and having a chat. Boat show, you got a couple of hundred. It gets a little bit daunting, but then you get to these ones in Japan, you get tens of thousands of people at them. You're in an auditorium, they're playing wrestling music as you come down the gangway. There's smoke machines and lasers, and it's a little bit over the top. But, you know, fronting in front of people in a public setting like that, I'm not talking about mental illness stuff here. I'm talking about fishing, so it's something I'm comfortable with. But being able to get up on a stage in front of that many people was a big part of that.
Right, yeah. No, I can understand that, mate. I haven't done 100,000. I think at the most I've done is a couple of thousand.
Yeah, the biggest one I did was about 19,000. I think that was a pretty big crowd. So,
all right. But you also, now that you got your live show and everything like that, you do a lot of live shows, and you're being also a guest in different fishing shows and things like that.
Yeah.
Right? So you've come a long way from that time of depression. And
I have. It'll never go away. I'll always have a depressive illness, but I know what it is, and I can tell when something's not right, and I can do something about it.
Right.
For all them blokes out there who think they're man enough to not do anything about it, I don't want the invite to the funeral. Just go and do something about it.
Yeah,
it's not hard. You know how many contact numbers there are now for mental health services? They're all free. These Halt blokes, you know, like, you want to have a chat with a few lads about it, do it. You know, you don't have to be a girl. I'm not going to say that because I'm going to be gender neutral here, Glenn. It's not being effeminate to have a chat to somebody about your feelings if you're not right. Not at all. Yeah. You know, how many times do you go and see your mate and say, oh, things are shit house at the moment? It happens often. You know, it's times like this when you've got COVID going on where you can't go around to your mate's place, sit down and say, look, things aren't great. And you can't get it off your chest. And I find that normally with a lot of blokes, once they get it off their chest and they have a chat to a mate, things always generally, once you get that weight lifted, you can start on that road to recovery. And sadly, at the moment, we don't have that platform to do that. We don't have our community, as you mentioned before. We don't have our mates. We do have these groups you can call. Like I mentioned Beyond Blue before, they're getting a lot of calls now. And I'm a bit torn on this, actually, because although we've got a lot more people that are actually engaging with these services, I think in part that's a good thing. I know it's a bad thing that the numbers are that high, but it's also a really good thing. It also means that there's more people reaching out where they weren't before. So that's, although we know there is definitely an increase in numbers of mental health issues, having those people actually reach out for a change and where they haven't before, that's awesome news to me. I mean, I know the numbers are terrible. Sounds bad. Crime rate. You talk about the crime rate. You know, the governments come on the tally and say, oh, everything's wonderful, crime rate's low. Well, that's a bad thing. It means the coppers aren't out there doing their job. There's no less crooks. But if the crime rates go up, that's a good thing. Why? Because the coppers are out there banging the crooks and they're actually showing results. It's the same with a lot of these services that are showing big numbers of people ringing. In many ways, that's a really good sign. Bad sign is that there's more people actually taking their own lives, which is not cool. Yeah. But having more people reach out is an awesome thing.
Yeah, and as you said there before, there are lots of services for every age group, for every type of struggling, from the Orange Door dealing with domestic violence, Beyond Blue, and Lifeline, is there for people to use, anonymous, 24/7, free. This is important stuff that it is there. And one thing I did really like what you said before was blokes know, when you're struggling in your head. It's not something that and we look at obviously the triggers, financial, relationship, job insecurity, grief, from losing a pet or a partner, or these can all cause the anxiety and to lead to depression. And if we don't do anything about it, then it just builds up. As you know, mine was, I was assaulted at work by a student's father, who came in and just was having a bad day and decided to smash me up against the wall. And I went home and didn't think too much about it. It wasn't that bad, and at the time. And I remember on the Monday being an absolute mess and thinking, Jesus, well, this is not right. There's something seriously wrong here. And they didn't tell me what I was meant to do until another mate called up and said, "Have you been to see the GP?" I was like, "Why do I want to go and see a GP? It's, a bit of ice, I'm fine." And he said, no, you've got to go and see a GP. You're going to struggle. And so I went and saw the GP, and he was
like, sorry, Mick, internally, you would have been fighting that, wouldn't you?
Oh, absolutely. I'm a bloke. Well, of course I'll be fighting it.
Yep.
I'll be totally fine. And it was only sort of about 2 days later, as I was lying on the floor, bawling my eyes out and going, yeah, I don't think I'm winning this battle. I'll go and see the GP. So I went and saw the GP, and he said, "Oh, look, this is what's happening to you. Post-traumatic stress disorder. You're going through the anxiety, flight, flee, this kind of thing." And still, and this is, we blokes, we can be dickheads. Honestly, we can be dickheads.
Well, speak for yourself. I go, all right.
You don't want to you won't tell your missus. Yeah, you won't tell your missus that there's something wrong. Yeah, you're stoic. I'm not going to tell the wife. I'm not going to cry in front of the kids. Still, I'll be all right. She'll be all right. And the doctor was really clever. The doctor sent me. He was very good. Luckily, I hear that there are not so good ones. And at Halt, we actually have Halt friendly clinics. So we go and get doctors and to come to events. And if they are willing to offer the support for someone who's been to a Halt event who goes, I want to go and see a doctor, then we start this whole, you go to the doctor, you have a good chat with the doctor, you do your mental health plan. Now you're getting 20 free sessions with a psychologist, which is a great initiative. I went to the first psychologist, and I went to the second psychologist, and the third one was the one that I related to. So another great message. If your doctor's shit and your psychologist is shit, go find a new one, because there's plenty of them out there.
There's no shortage, and most of them bulk bill too nowadays.
Yeah, they do. And if you don't relate to them, then there's no point going. You get nothing out of it. So I said to the schools event I did today, the second one, she had this old table that was, all the legs were made up of little mirrors. And all I wanted to do was see how many times I could see my face in the leg of this table. So obviously I wasn't interested. I wasn't focused on getting anything from this psychologist. And now I have one. I still go, even over the 5 years. As you mentioned, you have your highs, your lows. COVID lockdown number 4 is definitely not good for me. So I have to go out for a walk. I have to go for a ride my bike with my kids. I've got some good mates that I really lean on in times of when I require it. And I've also put it out there that I'm there for others. So I've got groups that like to talk to me, and I've got a group that I like to talk to. I was doing stand-up paddleboard until I found out that it was illegal. When they were waiting for me, I should have just kept paddling past. I shouldn't have got off. But you got to keep yourself active. You got to keep on going. As you say, you could just sit down, grab another beer, and just woe is me. And that's, you know, that's no good. We weren't meant to be like this. We were meant to be, you know, to live good lives, be good dads, be good partners, be good soccer coaches, be good mates. We were meant to be. We're not meant to be sad and lonely and.
It's interesting, Mick, you mentioned before that, you know, you didn't want to tell your wife about it.
Oh.
And I was the same. And unfortunately, something that we've been inbred with as boys to men is that you're the man, you take care of the family.
Yep.
We all know that's bullshit. When you get older, you realise that your wife does 90% of the work anywhere, and you're just a tenant. So one of the problems is,
I need a wife.
Feel that you can take it to your wife, but that's cool. After you go and see the doctor, then come back and tell your wife, hey, I'm seeing a doctor because.
Yep.
And she'll be happy that A, you've recognised there's a problem, and B, you're doing something about it.
Yep.
And that way you're not, and I know you don't feel this way, but if you feel like you're going to burden your partner with what you've got to say, you generally won't say it.
Yep.
But if you've got a solution to the problem, or you're looking at a way to fix that problem, you're not putting a burden on them. You're just helping them understand where you are. And talking to your partner is critical. I mean, I'm pretty lucky. I've got a pretty smoking hot, very understanding wife who puts up with my crap like nobody else can. And
can I just ask, is she online here? Like, are you just trying to get some bonus?
Not actually. She's probably hugging the dog because it's so bloody cold. But one of the things is, once she found out that I had recognised I had a problem and I was seeing somebody, she was so happy. And it also made it easier for her to understand why I'd been a cranky prick.
Yep.
Or if I was having a moment, she could say to me, honey, here's the keys to the boat. Go away. Go fishing. Yep. Grab a mate. Go away and do something about it. But if you don't have them understanding that problem from the start, if your partner doesn't know why you're in a bit of strife,
yep,
they're not going to be as supportive as to you being able to rehabilitate or at least get yourself to a position where you're pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's the same with your mate. You know,
yeah.
You tell them, if you broke your ankle, you'd tell them. If you broke your favourite rod, you'd tell them.
No, I wouldn't. I'd be too embarrassed.
Okay. You know, but why can't you tell your mate that you're struggling with mental health issues, and why can't you ask for help? We mentioned earlier Lifeline.
Look, one of the things I felt when I had my issues was you do feel alone and you do feel isolated. And when you recognise that you're not, that you have got that mate, it's not just one. You've got probably 20 mates that you can ring straight off your phone now who would happily listen to what you get to say.
Yep.
Now, I know I've got at least 3 really close friends in my phone I could ring any time of the day and they're going to answer it. I'm sure just about every bloke on the planet has.
Yep.
But taking that step and doing it, that's what's got to happen.
Yeah.
I've been listening to you two, right? I don't have a wife or a girlfriend, so I miss out. But
some
you're
would
100%.
consider you lucky.
What's that, mate?
Some would consider you lucky, Glenn.
There are certain times that you are very lucky.
But it's so true, because I can remember in my own marriage, right, that I'd come home down and everything like that from work, right, whatever I was doing and everything like that, and your partner actually picks it up. This is to the people that are actually out there married and things like that, males that are out there that they've got a partner. Your woman picks it up anyhow, because a woman is an emotional being and she picks up emotions. And a male is supposed to be the logical being. It's not right, and things like that. We go, it's a whole different aspect and a whole different subject, this one. But a woman can actually pick it up. What is wrong?
So, Glenn, just on that, yes, women are more emotive and men are more logical, generally speaking, according to our physiology. However, women do pick up the emotions of anger. They pick up the emotions of ignorance. They pick up the emotions of hiding, like you're hiding something, that secretive nature. They don't understand why you're doing that. So that's why it is important to come back to them and say, hey, this is what my problem is and this is what I'm doing about it. Because as soon as they understand what those problems are, Glenn, then they can help you on your road to recovery.
Yeah. You're right. You know, because when you've got a partner, we go back into the old school. That's what they were there for. She wasn't just there to wash the dishes and clean. You know, a good relationship is actually built between communication between each other, right? And like I said, you're 100% right, Paul. Where they can pick up because if something's going wrong at work and you're feeling down or you're getting into that depressed mode or whatever it is, and you are in a relationship and you're getting angry or you're feeling down, and right, they pick it up that you're bullshitting and lying to them, right? Or
the lips were moving.
Their women have got an uncanny sense of picking it up.
Yeah.
So you can't. So be out and open with it. But if you don't, it's like you said, Paul. I got a handful of mates, right? And I know if I could ring you anytime, Paul, and I could, if you're not driving a truck and unloading it or whatever, you'll answer. You'll talk to me.
I'll always ring you back, though.
I know you always have. But you know, like we've all got those mates, and in this time, it's so important. And it was what Jeremy said. You know, he agreed with what you said before. I had Jeremy on. He's a great mentor as well. He's a Maori guy. I know had him on about men's health as well. And as he was saying, you know, mental illness doesn't go away, right?
No, it doesn't.
It's there. That's what Paul. It was you that actually that showed me that first time going back all those years ago about the black dog video.
Oh, yeah, the WHO video.
Yeah, the Who video. Yeah. Right, and I use that a lot now. I actually showed it on this show going back a couple of months ago about the black dog. Right,
well, the reason I started showing that, Glenn, wasn't because I wanted people to see the video. It was because people would say to me, "What is depression?" And I can't draw a picture of it. I can't say, "Here it is, and this is what it does." So for a lot of people to try and understand that they may have something, but they don't know what it is, that video was pivotal, but to be able to teach people, not just people who are suffering depression, but people who don't suffer from it, to understand what it was and how it can affect people. And the better that everybody can understand, and this isn't just people that suffer from depression that need to understand what depression is. Everyone needs to know what it is.
Yep.
Whether you've got it or not, because you'll never understand why somebody's suffering from it unless you understand what it is itself. And that video was brilliant. I haven't got a link to it, but it's on YouTube. Right. Just search WHO Black Dog video and you'll find it. And it was a great tool to be able to teach people who didn't suffer from any mental illness what a depressive illness was and how it works. So, yeah.
YouTube's the best place to go, right?
Yeah. That's where I stole it from.
Yeah.
Look, a lot of the sites, you know, your Headspaces and Beyond Blue have got some great resources on there. When you do have depression, it can come back and bite you on the butt when you least expect it. As you say, my partner just walked through, and that was about 3 weeks ago when we went into stage 4, and she said, "You need to go back and see your doctor or your psychologist." I was like, "Why?" She said, "Man, you are a pain in the ass to live with at the moment." So I did call him up, had a chat with him. As you know, it's like when you've been to see the chiropractor, everything, it doesn't feel much better afterwards for the next few days. And then all of a sudden it works again. And it was really funny. It came on and it left. And you sort of go, "Oh, I'm pretty sure I know why it came on." I was really looking forward to getting out again and doing the barbecues and talking to people again. And we'd had all these events cancelled because of COVID, where, you know, there were thousands of blokes we were going to talk to. And that's the bit of the job I really like is talking to people. And all of it got cancelled. And then it was like stage 4, you're not allowed to go anywhere. And that really kicked me in the guts. I was like, I'm not ready for this. So it can, but you've got the right help, you get the right support, you talk to your people. As I say, I've got 2 that I like to go walking with. I've got one who every Sunday we try and jump in the bay, even when it's 9 degrees. It's bloody cold, but I tell you, when it's rough, it's extremely invigorating, and you feel $1 million. And I don't know. It's something I would never have done. I've never done in my life. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to go and do it. Who cares? We're not in there I can't call it a swim. I call it a splash. Because when
Where do you do this, mate? When I put the bait in, I reckon I'm going to have some fun with you blokes.
Hey, your boat's still not clean yet, mate. It's still down the detailers.
It's spotless. It's cleaner now than it was pre-delivery, but that's enough about my boat. She's doing
another boat. Well, I have to say, I'm pretty excited that Glenn, and I've met you as well, because I am easily the worst fisherman there is. Every time I've gone down to the rocks here at Mount Martha or Mornington, and I've chucked I might as well just take $20 and just lob it all the shit into the water and then go home. And, one of the guys I work with at the TAFE where it happened, he said to me, he said, look, I can't talk to you about mental health stuff, but you need to come fishing. It's good for you. Bring your son and we're going fishing, because I'm not a big talker. I'm not into, I don't know what to say, but I'm going to take you fishing. So we drove down to Phillip Island and we launched just there, and we floated under the bridge towards Woolamai. And it was my son's first fishing trip. He's 11 years old, his first fishing trip. 45 barracuda later, literally you couldn't get the rod in fast enough and pull them out. There was pinkies biting, there was everything. Leather jackets, flathead. I said, oh, even a banjo shark. I said, well, there you go. That's the end of your fishing career, because it's never going to be this good ever again.
But at the end of it, I bet you felt amazing.
$1 million, mate. We took it home. We cooked the leather jacket, the pinky, and something else, and it was absolutely beautiful. And he was buzzing, and which I was buzzing as well. And we didn't have to talk about anything. We just went fishing. And so
there's a lot of research out there to support recreational fishing is so beneficial to mental health issues, because
absolutely.
It does. It's not that it takes your attention away from your illness, but what it does is it's sort of putting that dog on the leash and holding it to the side and saying, right, sit.
Yep.
It's about me at the moment. And you have a chance to empty your whole head, because when you think mucking around with fish, even if you're not catching fish, if you're just sitting there with that rod in your hand, you empty that head. You stop having that conversation with yourself, because you'll never win an argument with yourself. I've tried.
No. Good on you.
I do talk to myself still. I need an expert opinion from time to time. When you do sit there and you just get into that space of nothing, it's just awesome the way you feel afterwards. And I can't play it down enough that more people that suffer mental illness should take up fishing.
They should. And I was really disappointed when they said you couldn't go fishing anymore, because you know, I go for a walk, and normally we walk on Mornington Pier and then turn around and come back. And early in the morning, there's all the guys down there having a fish, and you know, they're socially distanced, and they're all focused on whatever fish they're going to catch, and it's good. It's a good thing for people. As I say,
well, one of the terrifying things for me is the realization that we may have some extended COVID situations where we might have some more restrictions to fishing for some time. And I know how important fishing is to a lot of people for their mental illness, not just for the people, but there's a lot of business who have had to shut down for the first time in their lives, all related to recreational fishing. So they've got tackle stores, we've got charter boat operators, there's bait suppliers, wholesalers, distributors. And a lot of these people, and sadly, I get to speak to a lot of these people on a weekly basis. There's some people who are going to come out of this on top. I'm one of the lucky ones. I've still got a job. Everything's great for me. I'm awesome. But a lot of the people I speak to, and I go through my phone list every week, and I just grab 20 random names out of that phone, and I just ring them up and say, how you traveling? A lot of the people I've been speaking to of late in that industry, there's some people who are really struggling and who aren't going to see the other side of this COVID. Their businesses just aren't going to survive. So, you know, now more than ever, it's critical to keep in contact with those people. And all it takes, pick up a phone and give them a ring. You know, look, how many contacts do you got on your phone? It takes 5 minutes and maybe 2 cents to give somebody a buzz. If you're on the internet, it costs you nothing. You can message them. But, contact, especially right now at the moment, there's a lot of people you're going to be associated with in different industries. And the building industry with tradies would be no different. There's a lot of changes there at the moment.
There is.
There'd be people who are struggling. You know, just it takes 2 seconds. I do it all the time. Ring them up, say, how you going? If they're no good, they're not going to say, oh, I'm terrible, but they know there's somebody there on the other end of the phone that they can talk to if they need to.
And that's a big point there, is actually being able to not be afraid of the answer.
Yeah.
You know, to say, okay, well, if you're not okay, let's talk about it. What is causing the grief? What's causing the stress? Now, obviously, with COVID and life that's going on at the moment, there could be numerous things that are causing the trouble. But if you talk about it and say, well, mate, why don't you just get down to the doctor? Just get to the doctor. Go and have a chat with them. They bulk bill. What's worst thing can happen? And then they go and they start talking about it. And you as a mate, you don't need to be the counsellor. You just need to be a good listener. You just need to be able to recommend that they go and look for some resources and keep checking in. A couple of phone calls, a few text messages. But don't be afraid of the answer. This could be the first time in someone's life that they've ever decided to open up and say, look, Glenn, I'm not doing well at all. And so for you then to sort of go, right, I'm going to help you out. I'm going to do something for you. I'm going to, that would be a mistake when you don't need to be the counsellor. There's plenty of them out there. There's buckets of resources, and steering someone in the right direction. Is really important.
I was going to say exactly the same thing there too, Mick. I'm no clinician. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a counsellor. I'm just somebody you can ring if you need to have a chat with somebody. But what I do know is if you are having some issues, you can give them a ring, 13 11 14, Lifeline will talk to you. Yep. You can go to www.beyondblue.com.au. There'll be support services there to help you. Yep. I'm not the person who can solve all your problems. I'm just someone who can help you find the right.
Say that, I'm not the counsellor, but I know a shitload of them.
Yeah.
So let me point you in the right direction. And I think that's.
I think that's what's happening at the moment. Look, there's some lovely comments going on up there. It's really lovely.
I'm as blind as a bat, Glenn. I can't read them, even with me goggles on, mate.
Mate, I'm blind as a bat myself.
Are you old farts? Do you want me to read it out for you?
I can't see a bloody thing.
Right. But, it's so, look, I've been watching Frankston City Council, right, and, mate, we knock our council sometimes, right, and Frankston City Council ain't the be-all, and then there's a lot of stuff in there that needs to be sorted out, and that's...
I'll tell you what, Glenn, you want to come over here to Casey? We sacked our councillors.
I know, mate.
Yeah, they were
You're doing a damn sight better than us.
We had a moderator in ours for 12 months nearly. So, anyway, but I've seen a couple of good things that they've actually done. Like at the moment, we talk about Lifeline. This is Frankston Community Connect, so a lot of people here are actually in our community. They've actually got a helpline that's actually they've set up for Frankston City Council. So you've only got to get onto the council, helpline. Right? They've got people do very similar to Beyond Blue and everything like that. We've got great groups, which I'm hoping I'm talking at the moment, trying to get a headspace on for the young people. Right? We've got, and this is where I charged, and I had to talk to the two ladies last week, and Hannah. I had Hannah on a young girl that was actually 2 weeks ago. And she was going through a hard time. She said hello tonight on here. And Thursday night, I said to her, there's a lot of young people out there that are doing it really hard, right? Young people that don't know where they're at, right? That are in the same boat that she was in, right? And she got a Frankston Youth of the Year, Young Person of the Year last year. She won that. But, she's been talking to me a lot about how she's down and everything like that. This Thursday night, she's actually doing her first Zoom, getting all the young people together and talking to them. I'll jump in and just help her along with it. But we need so many people out there to help. Hello, Jess. How are you? I'm sorry.
I think firstly, Hannah, if she's still on, she should come in and check in tomorrow night at 6 o'clock to the Halt school chat. There might be some things. There's a lot of support services on that chat. We're talking to a school in Hallam, as well as a few other schools. But that might be really good for her to pick up some of the support services available. But yeah, Jessica's asked a really, really important question that I think you should address. Can you read it?
Yeah. Look, I know Jessica personally. Jess.
Okay.
I can speak from experience on this one.
Yeah, go for it. I love Jess.
Because one of the things that I had when I did start telling people, and I spoke publicly about having a depressive illness, was that I found that a lot more people who had depression started coming to me. And at that time, I was still recovering myself, and it was really difficult to try and take on other people's problems as well as deal with my own. And I learned really quickly that the people that were coming to me had other friends in their circles that necessarily didn't know me. So I was able to track down a few of their friends and say, and with that person, and say, hey, let's go and have a chat to such and such together. And it sort of introduces another person into that equation. It's not necessarily dumping a problem on them, but if the more friends understand what the problem is to start with, the more people in that community, as we spoke about before, can become involved in that. And most of the people that came to see me were from the fishing game. So I knew other people in those circles, and I knew people who understood what I was going through and were also friends with that person. So you can always involve your other friends in that circle or other people from that community to take that burden off you and allow somebody else to take some of the burden. There's nothing wrong with, it's not a handball. In fact, a handball's won a couple of grand finals, let me tell you. There's nothing wrong with sharing a load, we don't expect every person out there to be that D10 dump truck that can hold 500 tonne. We expect everyone to be a mini who can carry a little bit in their boot, and we can all get around and help each other bit by bit.
Yeah, no,
I think that's right.
But with Jessica, Jess, you know that like through Frankston Community Connect, Jess is actually part of the committee on this as well, right? And all you got to do is send them our way, and we'll actually put them in contact with the right people, and bringing on the likes of Halt and things like that. That's the whole idea of like this Frankston Community Connect, is to open up the doors to organisations that can just be for a chat, like all the Zoom meetings and the podcasts that Michael's doing at the moment. And Hannah, yep, thank you. I still see you there.
Can you, in the host chat, I posted up the Facebook page. Can you just cut that and drop that under Hannah's name, just so she can click on it? And if she wants to come in on the event tomorrow, just to have a look at what we're doing for young people.
Yeah.
I'd really like to get her. I've got this goal about, there's a group I've got called the Yeasty Boys. And we
sound like those hoodlums from England.
Yeah, well, I like the Beastie Boys, and I love a beer. So Yeasty Boys was founded, and just a quick one. I invited 5 mates to the pub, and no, not that one. It's in the host chat.
Yeah, I can't actually tag it onto the page.
Okay, so it's just the Hannah, you're clever. You'll be high tech. The Southeast Halt South East Melbourne. Southeast Facebook page, can't miss it. There's my beautiful face somewhere in there. So I took 5 mates to the pub. This is before I worked for Halt. I was having a paddle, and I thought I've had 2 great ideas in my life. One was the Lego slipper. So when you walked into the room where your kid had Lego all over the place, you had a slipper and you wouldn't hurt yourself. Unfortunately, bloody Lego went and did that. That's ruined my millions. The other good idea was to invite 5 mates to the pub and tell them if ever they were struggling with anything, that I would be willing to help them. Now, not that I was a counsellor or anything, but I know a lot of people, and I would be able to help them. So we did that. We went to the Royal Hotel in Mornington. There was, I think, 8 of us turned up, and I told the story to them, and we had a beer and a Palmer, and life was beautiful. Nothing says love like a good Palmer. Anyway, the next month, they had to bring 1 person with them that they would tell the same message to. A year on later, we are now 140 members. It's not a woo-woo group. It's definitely about a beer and a Palmer. It's done on a Thursday night, so it's not a piss-up. But the idea is everybody knows in there that they are there to listen to someone who's struggling, to support, to know that there's support there if they've struggled. And twice we've had two people bang on the table and go, I'm fucked. Can somebody help me? Yeah. And they were sitting between their mates, and they've known those mates for years and never, ever spoken to them about their mental health issues. So that's the Yeasty Boys. I'm not saying that that's perfect for everyone, but when we go to the pub, we do tend to get more people than when we don't go to the pub. But the noise in that room of blokes just talking is phenomenal. And I think this is, again, back to that community that we spoke about, that we know is so important.
I agree.
That we need to have things like this that get the ball rolling. And yes, Erin, I did try and think of the Yeasty Girls, but it just didn't have quite the same ring to it. So we start.
That sounds a bit flashy. That.
So we will do one for the ladies, but
don't call it Yeasty Girls.
We'll have another name, a mental health support group for ladies.
Beastie Girls.
The Beastie Girls. That's yes. But anyway, that's what I did, and then Halt came along, and it's kind of developed. If ever I need any support within Halt, there's a Yeasty Boy willing to come and drive and drop off some bacon and egg rolls at a building site if we're doing a virtual event, or if I need someone to cook some sausages, a Yeasty Boy will come and cook the snags for me. It's a community thing. People like to do good things, and so if we can involve them, it's helping everybody.
But that's what and Paul backed this one up because he's a mad fisherman as well. But that's what our organisation, that's the thing about fishing, is about. And it wasn't so much the fishing; it was actually the camaraderie.
Of course,
to break down the barriers and the doors. Yeah, we're mad fishing. We all want to go out there and catch that big. Like the one I've got sitting up there, the big reddy up there.
Oh, you've been talking about that for 20 years. Catch something new, will you?
You blow that up. I can't even see it. What is that?
That's a big reddy.
He's been bragging about that thing for years. He's got to get it. He's got to go and catch something new. For God's sake, get some new material, mate.
Good on you, Paulie.
Yeah,
I'm so rejected, insecure now.
Did you get that from the fishmongers?
Yeah, but anyway, we use fishing as breaking the barriers down, and like the amount of people, like, and Jessica's a great chick. What that young girl Jessica has done with some of the young people that have come, and Erin, just all being there for the young people, right? Talking, knowing them, and everything like that. It's so important. The amount of people that that have come to me that have been ready to commit suicide and things like that, and just via fishing, and it's not catching the fish; it's actually opening the door to the communication, the same as the Yeasty Boys, whatever you want to call yourselves. Right? It's actually, and then Paul, the same thing, right? Through his own show, the Live World, and things like that, and his knowledge to the people that actually know him out there in the circles that we both walk in, and talking about fishing, I've actually got it. There's a remember that Canberra study that they've done, that 100-page study on mental health and fishing. Well, I've got that, and it's unbelievable what fishing does for mental health.
I think I was sitting in a plane somewhere where I sent you that, wasn't I? I was halfway to Japan. I've seen that article in the paper.
Yeah, that's right. You do too. Yeah. So anyway, listen, I've done a Paul Carter tonight. We've gone overtime.
I think well worth it though.
It has. It's been fantastic, and just to sum it up, Michael. Right, just a couple of things that you're doing that's coming up.
Look, if you've got tradies or you've got people involved, this week we've got the school event. One more school event next week. It's the Halt School virtual breakfast. Where you can come on and listen to me talk about looking after young people during this COVID thing. We've got Carter Marketing coming in. So if you're a small business, and as Paul said, quite often the ladies are running the business. I've got a marketing expert coming on, lovely girl called Jess is going to come on. The following week, we're looking at getting 4 tradies on to talk about what it's like being a tradie at the moment. Because some are really busy, some are not busy. and we want to know that there's what they're all doing, if any way we can support that. So lots of things. Look after yourself is really important. Self-care, and talk about it. Don't be afraid to talk about it.
Yeah, true. Oh,
Well, there's not much more I can say to follow that. Mick's spot on with everything you just said. What I will say, though, is, as I've said earlier in the show, I'm not a clinician, I'm not a counsellor, but I am somebody that does have Messenger and a phone number. I'm not going to read my phone number out here, but it's on my Facebook page. I don't give a stuff who rings me or who sends me a message. I might not be able to solve your problems. I'm not the UN, but I can certainly put you onto somebody who can sort of help you get on the road to finding your way. So feel free. I won't judge you. I have never judged anyone who wants to contact me. That's not what I'm here for. If you don't feel that you've got anyone else you can go to, look me up on Facebook. It's just Paul Carter. I'm real easy to find. I'm the fat bloke holding a squid. And feel free to drop us a line. That's what we're all here to support each other with. And that's me done. Thanks for the opportunity to have a talk to you, Glenn. And nice to meet you too, Mick. Nice to.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. I'm sure we'll catch up.
Halt was about until you came tonight, so it's good to see that now I've got another organisation I can do the old handballing to.
Please do. Please do. And thanks, Glenn, for this platform. It's really good.
absolutely. And I'll get you back on again, Mike and Paul. Righto?
Yeah.
So, and mate, great having you both on. Fantastic.
You can teach me how to fish. I'll do that, mate.
That's the easy part.
We'll do that. I know. See you, Michael. Anyway, people, we went a little bit overtime, which is great. It was a great night. It was good to have Paul and Mick on. And I know poor old Paul's got to go to bed soon because he's got to get up for work early. Right. So anyway, everyone, good night. I hope you all have a great week, and we'll see you next week, next Tuesday night, Frankston Community Connect again.